Boom. Okay, so welcome to today's live stream. And today is part 2 of 2 on codependency, emotional availability, denial in your business around sacred money and business power. And this is really addressing those wounds that might be still active, that is preventing you to get past the 6-figure threshold. When I talk about 6-figure threshold, I mean you already have a coaching business, you already have a healing business, you already have a mentorship business, you already have a consultancy business, whatever you want to call yourself. Most people are divine feminine leaders here in some capacity, and they're sharing their soul purpose and gifts here. And so what I mean by getting past the 6-figure threshold is that you have landed high ticket clients before, or you already sell packages and you probably aren't charging as much as you should be. And the problem is though, that you're always kind of wanting more clients because you want to increase your income. So you've had some success, but most of the time you are wanting more and more is not coming easily, I guess. So you might be at the 6-figure threshold. 6 figures is around 8.3 thousand per month. So normally here, if you're here, you're in the right place. If you're around the 5 to 10K mark, you've hit that before, 5 to 10K, and you just can't seem to do it consistently and predictably. So what we're about here in the Feminine Power CEO Priestess Coven is really getting you past the 6-figure threshold. And the reason for that is because it's a collective consciousness. It's actually something that we've all been vibing to as feminine leaders for the past 20 years or so. Women have been rising. We've been creating our own businesses. It's become more normal, right? We've stepped out of corporate. We're starting to do this. It's still relatively new for humans, for humanity, for this to be happening, right? But the thing is that we still, as women especially, or as the feminine collective, we're holding on to a lot of wounds and shame around being visible, around selling, around embodying wealth and prosperity, about, maybe being greedy or salesy or pushy. And that comes a lot from the fact that we have wounds and traumas living inside of ourselves, and we really don't want to re-traumatize someone else. So we just avoid, and we're in denial about our financial situation, about our business and the skills that we need to maybe acquire or get better at in order to grow the business. So I just want you to be honest with yourself. There is no shaming here. We are not interested in shaming anyone. Just be honest with yourself. Like, how long has this been going on? And are you sort of living in the hope and prayer land, which is a little bit of the high vibe, but denial, right? It's the truth. You're like, someday it's gonna get better. I already know kind of how to do this because I've done it a little bit already, and it just needs to shift maybe in the next moon cycle, or when Mercury goes direct, or when Jupiter goes direct, or whatever you're telling yourself. And it's just not happening day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And so, just starting to examine that there's a truth there. And then once we look at the truth, we can liberate the truth. We talk a lot here about wounds, like childhood wounds that have caused codependency. And I'm gonna explain a little bit about that, and go back and listen to the first part of this live if you haven't, after maybe this one, where I talk a little bit more about it. But we have a lot of that going on because we have childhood wounds. And so we've developed behaviors to keep us safe based on the emotional abuse, perhaps, or even just misattunement that we received as children. As soon as we can bring light to this is the soonest we can alchemize and liberate it. And the thing in the personal development, business coaching industry is that even myself included some years ago, I was only focused on bringing my clients to strategy. So teaching them strategy, which I'm really good at. I have an MBA, I have a past career on Wall Street, whatever, learned online marketing. It comes easy for me. I was focused on teaching strategy and mindset, right? And then I realized through burning out, through having my own dark night, that that is just a cover-up. It's just a Band-Aid if we're not looking at the capacity limits we developed as really little beings. We'll never get past these capacity thresholds and hold more resources, hold the ability to be more visible, hold the ability to be more responsible, because when your business grows, you have more responsibility. You have more clients, you have a bigger team, you have more financial responsibilities. And so if you don't have the capacity to hold that, you won't ever get past a certain level. And this all comes from trauma and wounds. Okay, so we don't want to perpetuate the trauma and wounds. We actually want to bring them to the light. We want to do embodiment practices. That's the only way to heal them, not intellectualizing them, not analyzing them. It's really great. That's why we're having this conversation. It's really great to understand it cerebrally, but the healing happens in the body. And then once we can alchemize it, we integrate the wound and it actually transmutes into power. It's actually what you came here for. So you're missing pieces of your power, even your message, your mission, if you haven't gotten to the heart of maybe the wounds that are still there for you. Because there are people on this planet that need your medicine the way that you're going to say it because of that, because of what you've been through, because of your understanding, because of your healing this, because of your doing the deep work. And believe me, when I say deep work, I'm talking deep work, and I had thought I had done all the deep work. It's a journey, okay? So on 2 days ago, on my first live, I talked about how to become profoundly conscious of the denial program that might be running for you and how it's showing up in your nervous system and in your money story. So go back and listen to that. And I also talked about the childhood imprint wound of the mother wound, especially parents who were not able to meet us emotionally and how that impacted our ability to shine as adults, okay? So especially around people pleasing. And this is what created codependency. So I'm gonna dive a little bit more into that right now. So codependency, in summary, is when we source our worthiness, our deservedness, our lovability from outside of ourselves. So usually we talk about codependency as it relates to a relationship, meaning you're in a relationship and you're codependent on that person to keep feeding you love and affection or even drama because it's what makes you feel seen and worthy and loved. So your love isn't coming from within, it's actually coming from outside of you. And I think you can equate or already know you've done some work, personal development work. We know that if we source our love from outside of ourselves, we put ourselves in a precarious position, right? Because we can never rely on something else to always feed us the love that we need to feel in order to feel good. We can't. So when we do that, we set ourselves up for failure. And self-sabotage is what I was going to say. And so the way that codependency also then feeds into avoidance, because we actually become avoidant to being seen, to being visible, because we are orienting more toward the other person and how they view us versus us being oriented toward ourselves and letting ourselves be real in the world. And this began at childhood. So this idea that you don't get love unless you act a certain way, unless you perform a certain way, unless you don't do this or you do this is something that a lot of people live in their adult relationships, right? They learn really early on that their partner wants them to act like this, look like this, be like this. And so they just start doing that in order to be loved. And it's not even about your partner requiring it. It's like what you learn to be true. So you're just constantly trying to please the other person to feel the love that you desperately crave that doesn't come from within you. This is codependency, and then it creates avoidance to intimacy. Because you're avoidant to who you really are, and you're just trying to be someone else, and then you're likely mirroring relationships that are doing the same to you. So if this is showing up in your relationships, it's also showing up in your relationship with money and business, because you become codependent on your relationship with money. And this creates a conflict in the congruency of the energy of which money flows. And avoidance to money and business is how women who are codependent or still have codependent tendencies, that's how they usually behave with business and money, because they turn away from it. They don't really want to have a relationship with it. They hope it shows up. They go like, hey, I work the law of attraction. I know it'll show up when I need it, but I don't really want to focus on money because money is kind of the root of all evil, and money is where, people do bad things, and people are too focused on money. And so they just turn away from it. They're avoidant on their intimate relationship with their own prosperity. And this has to do with how they believe they're worthy and valuable. You see how I circled back there? This is codependency. Okay? And so a lot of us who are people pleasers, this is the same kind of conversation, right? Hopefully you understand that. What codependency, avoidance, emotional unavailability, all of this has to do with your nervous system, is that it actually runs in your body. It's not just something you decide in your head and your brain and your mind. It's a nervous system thing, okay? So you obviously have many, many nerve endings. Your nervous system is probably the biggest system running in the background of you and who you are all the time. And your nervous system is calibrated to certain things. And it feels safe and secure within certain frameworks. And this is when we talk about capacity and threshold. We can't get past certain capacity limits and thresholds because our nervous system overfires. It no longer feels safe. And so that's when we retract. We start to, we don't manifest what we want to manifest because we don't feel safe manifesting it. So codependency, being loved from outside, avoidance towards money and business, ignoring it, being emotionally unavailable to your money and to the numbers and to what's happening in your business, is all running in your nervous system. And so it's likely invisible to you. You don't even realize that it's there, and you don't even realize that that's happening. And so the healing has to happen in the body. So your relationship with money and business has to be healed in your body. It's not something that can be healed in your mind. It's not something even that can be healed with strategy, right? It's healed in the body. It's actually healed in the heart. Amazingly, right? So many of us think that money and heart are not in relationship, but they are. Because these attachment wounds, they actually are heart wounds. That's why if you're in the Divine Feminine lineage, then you've heard a lot about Mary Magdalene. She is one of my, very direct ascended master mentors. And she talks all about the heart wounds. And that's why I talk a lot about this, because this is so paramount for the Divine Feminine collective to get and to heal, to alchemize, so that we can actually live our destiny and our mission on the planet. We have a lot of heart wounds. We actually signed up for it before we came into this soul incarnation, but it's actually time for us to alchemize them so they don't keep holding us back. Hiding, feeling small, feeling ambivalent to money, feeling ambiguous about our business, kind of focusing on it sometimes, not really focusing on it a lot. And I don't even care about business, really. I care about your mission. I care about what you came here to do, what you came here to deliver, what your voice is saying, what your truth is, and that you come into right relationship with loving yourself from within so that you can live full out, live fully expressed. And that's when, right, the money flows, because it's a flow. So nervous system healing, and that's what we cover in our programs in the embodied healing system. We combine this with strategy and mindset, and that's what makes people take quantum leaps forward. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to give you today is the 3-step Embodied Priestess Ascension Activation, which is a healing for you that you can actually do today, and every single day you feel some of this stuff coming up. It will catapult the vortex you're running around prosperity. And it's likely not something you've done before. Okay, are you ready? So we go into these steps much deeper in our programs, in the High Ticket Empress program. which by the way is 50% off right now. And I just added a 3-pay payment plan in honor of the full moon right now. So I will put the link in the comments after this. And if you haven't checked that out, go check it out. It is an amazing way to work with me without working with me at a high-end investment, because all the trainings that are there go over this embodied healing system, as well as all the strategy, my sales script, how to position your offer, all of that good stuff in there. And you can get started today for like $397, have access to everything. So I wanted to let you know that it's only going to be available while we're on the full moon, so another 24 hours or so. Okay, so ready? 3-step process. Yikes, Janet. 3-step process. So embodiment is the new way. So number 1 is turning toward your heart, turning toward that little girl in you who you do not talk to very often, who's likely scared of you becoming visible, of you being seen, of you making a lot of money, of what people think of you, of being alone, of dying. Yeah? And you start to build a relationship with her. And she will tell you the truth. And she's actually the gateway to downloads, to transmissions that want to come from source, because you're not actually an open vessel until this stuff gets cleaned up. The fragmented pieces of you that at 5 wasn't emotionally attuned to, and you just shut that shit down because it was way too painful. You become an open channel. Not because there's wounds running doesn't mean you're wounded and you're not worthy. Actually, they're the pathway to your power. So I want you to just turn toward them. I don't want you to shame them. I want you to turn toward them. And the pathway to turn toward them is turning toward that little girl and remothering her, telling her you got her, you're with her. So every time throughout the day you feel anxiety, you feel like maybe even avoidance, maybe like you want to do something else rather than the thing that will like make you more financially sovereign, that's when you turn to her and go like, what's up, babe? What's up? What are you feeling? All right? Here's number 2 is really key, okay? And this is deeply what we talk about in our embodied healing system, okay? Which is staying near yourself while taking action. This is sacred union within. A lot of people talk about sacred union in relationships, you know, kind of like manifesting your twin flame or your soulmate or your divine masculine counterpart. We'll talk about that. I'll say divine masculine counterpart because we're all divine feminines in here. But we actually manifest that when we have sacred union within, which means that we have a really juicy relationship with our feminine and we have a very stable relationship with our masculine. We're not overworking and self-abandoning, and we're not avoiding and in codependency. We are healing those and coming together in right relationship with both of those. So we get to hold the tender pieces that are wounded, and then we get to take action at the same time. Talking with one of my clients this morning over Voxer, because we do voice messages, and she was telling me how yesterday she started feeling really avoidant about sending the email and the post that she wanted to send out. And she was watching herself through that. And asked me, you know, what did I think, right? And so when I messaged her back this morning, I said, here's the next layer. I want you to hold the tender piece, feel the ambivalence and the want to avoid it and put it away and feel like, and the rhetoric that you say to yourself probably a lot, which is, I'm not ready. I don't really feel like it. I don't want to do that. And I want you to honor that, not ignore it, not self-abandon. And then hold the piece that might still be able to take some action. What action could you take that would be in alignment with what you really want at a high level while feeling safe and self-attuned? What action can you take that would allow you to stay connected to the scared, tender piece of you while also moving toward the thing you really want? Okay? It's those two together. Okay, number 3 is, what is it? Oh yes, of course, movement. So this can be as simple, let me back up for a second. What I really want you to say about movement is like, this is the crux of embodiment. Embodiment really is about self-attunement. So taking the focus outside, taking the focus that you have learned to be outside of yourself to feel loved and safe, and taking it inside to feel loved and worthy and valuable and safe. And then movement, really allowing it to alchemize, and alchemization requires energy, okay? And so breath is the first gateway. Take a deep breath. You have movement going on right now in your body. And then if you want to take it another step deeper, like roll, anything circular, rolling your shoulders, rolling your head, rolling your hips, circling your hips in your chair. Oh my God. So good. Wow. It just instantly transforms your physiology and your energy. So anything that's stagnant, which are the wounds and the traumas that have been living there for a long time, they start to move. They start to transform. And so this is just, it's very simple. Imagine you're just in a moment, you feel that you want to take this Priestess Financial Sovereign Activation healing to the next level. You go, okay, inner, like hand on heart, inner little girl, what are you scared of right now? What's going on? And then holding that, the second piece is, what action could I take toward the thing that I want to do, that I'm feeling ambivalent and avoidant toward, that isn't like gonna make me feel like I'm taking action that's out of alignment. Take action or do something that is in alignment, but also feels safe. So your inner little girl begins to trust you. You need to reestablish trust with her because you've ignored her for a long time. And then number 3 is movement. Take a deep breath just in your chair, or go for a walk if you can, or get on the floor and do some cat-cow and like put on a song that you love and dance. Like, this is my favorite way, but we don't always have, space for that or privacy for that or whatever. All right. So that's what I have today. Next week, we're going to be talking about my feminine sales attraction system. So this week we focused a lot on the wound stuff, and next week we'll flip again to actually what actions can you be taking, how to attract your high-end clients that will and can pay you. This is really key. What your offer needs to be today and what it can't be, because if it's off, it won't sell. And so want you to have your offer in the right place. And if you don't really have a big audience, it doesn't really matter. You really just need to learn the 4-step buying process. Like, how do you take someone from kind of knowing you or not knowing you at all and having them get to know you and like lead them through a process? And that's what we want to help you with. So we're going to talk a lot about that next week. I want you to stay tuned to the group for the free trainings for that. And if you're watching the replay, tell me replay in the comments. I'll check back later. I love you all. Thank you so much. We're going to do some just like amazing and crazy things for y'all and really give you a lot of value, pretty much give it all away. And then if you want hand holding, we're here. You can book a call with us and I'll put that link in the comments too. And let's get you past that 6-figure threshold, really healing the wounds, and then really your whole energy changes. That's what we're talking about with positive vibes. It's not spiritual bypassing. It's actually embodied living. Okay, love you.